What's up, everybody? Thanks for clicking this video. Thanks for tuning into my channel. My name's Simon Hill, Black American from Louisiana, coming to you live from Budapest, Hungary. Today, we're going to be following up on the story of Jonathan Majors. I believe on my channel, I did a live stream about this story a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago or so. And I just want to talk about the situation that's happened. If you don't know who Jonathan Majors is, he's a famous black actor who got into some trouble because he committed the ultimate crime. He got chased by a white woman through New York after she tried to take his phone, and then he tried to run away. It was horrible. If you saw the video, it's one of the most traumatic things you'll ever see, seeing this black man running through the city and this woman, chasing him down, trying to assault him and attack him and that sort of stuff. And yeah, Jonathan Majors should be ashamed of himself for committing such a crime, such a heinous act against such a woman. No man should act like that with a woman. No man should ever be running from a woman like that and not expect to be punished, especially in America. As a black man, you should know this. You cannot be running from women, trying to avoid conflict with women, trying to avoid having any sort of interaction with an erratic woman at all. You should avoid that at all costs because you know you are committing a capital offense in America as a black man doing that. And Jonathan Majors found out the hard way that you shouldn't act like that around women. Do not do that at all. Do not do that. So a jury of his peers in New York City found Jonathan Majors guilty of assault and battery on this young white woman, and because of that, he is now going to be punished in our fair and equal criminal justice system. So let's read through the story. I'm just gonna react to it as it comes. I have not read the story ahead of time. Y'all leave comments in the chat. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this. I'm just saying, man, you gotta know as a man, you should not be running away from women. You should not be trying to avoid confrontation. You should not be doing that as a man in America. No, no, no. Don't do that at all. All right, Jonathan Majors avoids jail time for assault conviction. Mr. Majors, a rising movie star before his conviction in December, was sentenced to domestic violence program for assaulting an ex-girlfriend last year. So here's the young man right here with the horrible haircut. This man never has a proper shape up. Never, never. I know I can't talk because my hairline is non-existent, but I've never seen a black man be so publicly have bad facial hair and a bad hairline and always, always, always a bad haircut. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. All right, so this was written by Colin Moynihan, published on April 8th, 2024. Jonathan Majors, a rising movie star who was found guilty last year of assaulting and harassing his then girlfriend, Grace Jabari, was sentenced in Manhattan Criminal Court on Monday to 52 weeks of domestic violence programming to take place in Los Angeles. Was that last year? Was he actually sentenced last year? That's crazy. That if that was the case, that had to take place in December. But I feel like his sentencing happened like in February or something. It feels more recent. Feels more recent. I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping. Continuing. Mr. Majors had no immediate reaction as the sentence was announced. He could have faced up to a year in jail. I'm glad that this black man in this case only got domestic violence training. 52 weeks is a long time in a program, but I do think it's important. I'm going to keep it absolutely real. I'm not going to be sarcastic now. I do think it's important for men to get domestic violence training, to get anger management issues resolved, like have that sort of way of training yourself to deal with all the problems that life can throw at you and stuff like that. Because I can say honestly, for me as a man, that's something that I've had to work on for myself. It's something that I've always had to work on, and I do think it's important for all men to be able to, deal with their emotions, especially when we're dealing with erratic or emotional women and sometimes erratic and emotional men as well. And know when to forgive, forget, take 10 steps, take 10 breaths, all the sort of things that you need to do. So I think it's actually a good thing that he's getting this. And I do think it's a much better sentence than actually going to jail. Going to jail in this situation where nobody died, the girl is not, permanently disfigured or injured, and she didn't have, really anything really bad happen to her. Honestly, his conviction in itself was was a tragedy of justice, was a travesty of justice. But yeah, it's good to see this sort of this thing play out this way. Continuing here, the sentencing hearing began with Miss Jabari standing to give a statement saying that she had experienced extreme physical and emotional pain because of Mr. Majors and had been held very tightly in the palm of his abusive hand. As she spoke, Mr. Majors, wearing a dark double-breasted suit and turtleneck, gazed down at a small leather bound volume that was open on a table before him. Mr. Bari told the court that when she was with Mr. Majors, she had become a different person, quote unquote, someone who was small, scared, and vulnerable. She added, I have seen his physical anger and he does not have control over it. All right, this might absolutely be true about Jonathan Majors, that he is not able to control his anger, that he might be. An irrational guy, an emotional guy, a guy who raises his voice, maybe even punches a wall or breaks a glass or shakes a table or something like that. That might all be true about him. But from what we've seen in public, in the video that surfaced of him running through New York from this girl, like he was on set for Marvel's 5 or something like that, and what the actual incident was, where she just got a scar in her ear because he tried to get his phone back or something like that, and her finger was never broken or anything like that, but she claimed it was after their altercation. After everything that she's saying here, it might be true that he acts that way, but we haven't seen any sort of consequences of that. We haven't seen her walk outside with black eyes or bruises and stuff like that. She didn't produce any of that evidence in court as well. So yeah, there's no evidence that Mr. Majors, Jonathan, is actually violent. He might be rude or angry, but he's not violent. Another thing, though, I have to say, though, we're quick to defend Jonathan Majors because as black men, we see these sort of stories and we say, okay, we know how often in society black men have been accused of attacking, raping, hurting white women and have lost their lives and have caused the damage to the community, right? That's how Black Wall Street was burnt down to the ground. They accused one black man of hurting one white woman, and then all of Black Wall Street was destroyed, right? If you've ever seen Rosewood, the movie, based on a true story as well, that's what happens in that movie as well. So yeah, we're quick to defend them, but we also have to take a step back and realize that we have women in our lives, our mothers, our sisters, our daughters, our cousins, and that sort of stuff, and we wouldn't want any man putting his hands on her. So let's try to be balanced here and think also hurt by their partners as well. So we should take that into account when talking about this Jonathan Major story. But yeah, going to continue here with the story. The district attorney's office asked on Monday that Mr. Majors be sentenced to a year of domestic violence programming, with a prosecutor, Kelly Galloway, telling the court that his assault of Mr. Bari had been the culmination of over a year of abuse. Ms. Galloway added that Mr. Majors had shown a complete lack of remorse. One of Mr. Majors' lawyers, Priya Chaudhry, told the judge, Michael Gaffey, that her client maintained his innocence and planned to appeal his conviction. Still, she said, Mr. Majors is committed to growing and bettering himself. Mr. Majors' conviction in December on assault and harassment charges, one misdemeanor and one violation, left his career in tatters. Marvel Studios dissolved this relationship with him. Searchlight Pictures said it would not release Magazine Dreams, in which Mr. Majors played a fury-filled steroid-taking bodybuilder. Oh wow, I didn't even hear about that story. I gotta watch that. That actually sounds like a movie he could actually do. Because if you ever saw, what was it, Creed 3, the third Apollo Creed movie, Jonathan Majors is in that story too. And yeah, he's roided up. I do think Jonathan Majors took steroids, right? Because this man has the physique of like Zeus, right? And he's like, he looks too perfectly carved for that to be all natural, right? Like that's roids. That's roids, and also maybe some, some of those pills that you take that can take all the liquid out of your body, and really shred you up and stuff like that. I do think he was on some sort of performance enhancing medication that probably altered his mood and made him have too much testosterone, that made him, an angry, angsty guy. So, but I would like to see the Magazine Dreams movie. That actually sounds hard. I would review that movie. That actually sounds dope. Continuing here. And after the verdict, two women who had dated Mr. Majors between 2013 and 2019 described him to the New York Times as a controlling, threatening figure who had abused them and isolated them from friends and career pursuits. Mr. Majors denied the allegations. Mr. Bari met Mr. Majors in 2021 on the set of the Marvel movie Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, where she was working as a movement coach and he was playing a time-traveling supervillain named Kang the Conqueror. The two lived together in London and New York, but their relationship splintered early one morning last March. Mr. Majors and Mr. Bari were inside a hired SUV in Lower Manhattan when she said she saw a text message on his phone from another woman. Mr. Bari has said that she grabbed the phone and that Mr. Majors tried to pry it from her hand, breaking one of her fingers. He was arrested later that day. Most people facing misdemeanor charges, look for a way to resolve them with a plea agreement. But Mr. Majors went on trial late last year, apparently hoping for an acquittal that could revive his career. Miss Chowdhury called Miss Jabari's account of what took place inside the SUV a complete lie and contended that Mr. Majors had been the victim. Mr. Bari was arrested in October on a counter complaint by Mr. Majors and charged with misdemeanor counts of assault and criminal mischief. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office declined to proceed with that case, saying at the time that it lacked prosecutorial merit. Okay, so at the beginning, right, this is the crazy thing. Like in the beginning, the story didn't seem to catch much. For the prosecutors, they didn't see a reason to prosecute the case. But then once I think the media caught on to the story, then that's when the district attorney said, okay, this is a great way to set an example to all the men in our city, in our county, in our jurisdiction that, putting your hands on women is not okay. The thing about the American criminal justice system, all the prosecutors are just trying to rack up as many convictions as possible because they all have political ambitions or their jobs are directly tied to being able to go to the voters to keep their jobs and say, look how many people I locked up last year. I locked up this many drug users, this many dope sellers, this many wife beaters, this many murderers. Because sometimes prosecutors are picked by the mayor or some government official, right? And so they want to show their boss results, or they have to go to the public. And the public, the American public, is so stupid. They think, oh, you lock up a lot of people, you must be doing your job correctly. So that's a vote you in again. So this is the thing. Like that's the crazy thing about our stupid criminal justice system, right? A lot of prosecutors just want to lock up as many people so they can impress the voters, impress their bosses, or on top of that, they want to impress people later in their career by running for office and saying, "Oh, look what I did. I locked up this many people, charged these people and this people." That's how Kamala Harris got into the Oval Office. Let's keep it real. Continuing here. During his trial in December, Mr. Majors walked through courtroom hallways wearing sunglasses, sat at the defense table in the well of the courtroom with a gilded Bible, and greeted supporters with kisses. Ms. Jabari took the stand, crying at times as she described a turbulent relationship in which Mr. Majors yelled at and berated her and once hurled a candle at her. After she grabbed his phone in the SUV, Ms. Jabari testified Mr. Majors twisted her hands and right arm and struck her in the head. What a weird guy. Jonathan Majors is a weird fellow. He is a weird, weird man. Walking into the room with a gilded Bible and blowing kisses at people at trial. You sound like you want to get convicted, man. Don't you know the jury is looking at you? You should just come to court and chill. That's how Tupac got convicted. Tupac was coming to court spitting at the journalist and flashing his thug life tattoo. No, I'm tripping. He came to court shot up, right? He got shot at the Quad Studios. But still, you got to be in court and you got to relax. You got to relax. Who was training this man? You should have media training as an actor to know how to walk into the courtroom and try to get the best outcome for yourself. What the hell? Continuing here. Miss Chowdhury and Miss Jabari had falsely accused Mr. Majors as revenge because he had ended their relationship. After the SUV ride, Miss Chowdhury added Miss Jabari went dancing with people she had met that night, letting some of them twirl her ballroom style while she spins on the very finger she now claims was freshly broken. While testifying, Miss Jabari said she went dancing because she didn't want to be alone at that point. In her summation, Miss Chowdhury depicted Miss Jabari as having given inconsistent testimony filled with contradictions and urged jurors to reject her pretty little lies. Miss Galloway, the prosecutor, told jurors that the case was about control, domination, manipulation, and abuse, saying that Mr. Majors had harassed and assaulted Miss Jabari and cut her off from friends and family. An audio recording from 2022, played at one point during the trial, offered some insight into how Mr. Majors may have viewed himself and his relationship with Mr. Jabari. He told her she should care for him as Coretta Scott King had cared for the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and as Michelle Obama cared for former President Barack Obama. That's just hilarious. That will always be hilarious. That's got to be one of the funniest stories of 2024. I People feel like that came out in last year. People say this did that really happen last year? Because I really feel like I heard this story this year. But either way, that's one of the funniest stories. This black man dating this white woman and telling her, "You need to be my Coretta Scott King or Michelle." Top 10 quotes. That's just top 10 quotes, hands down. All right. I'm a great man. I'm a great man. Look in the mirror. What do you see? I'll see a great man. You think Jonathan Majors listens to Kevin Gates? I don't know. I'm a great man, a great man. I am doing great things, Mr. Majors said, adding, the woman that supports me, the one I support, needs to be a great woman and make sacrifices. Few actors have fallen as quickly and dramatically as Mr. Majors, and few actors had seemed as ready made for stardom. Soon after graduating from Yale's drama school, Mr. Majors was cast in The Last Black Man in San Francisco, a 2019 film about life in an increasingly gentrified city. I watched that film and I did not feel it. I don't know. It was just very bland. It was just very blah. It didn't feel like it had a lot of soul into it. I don't know. That's just my recollection from it. Maybe I'll watch it again, but really, I just remember that film being very bland. I can't really think of any Jonathan Majors movie that I saw where I thought he did exceptionally well. Maybe Creed 3, the one he did with Michael B. Jordan. But other than that, he's just an okay actor. Other roles followed in 2020 when he was given the part of Kang, a character who was to appear in several Marvel films, including Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, set for 2026, and Avengers: Secret Wars, planned for 2027. With a seemingly secure future as an anchor actor in what were seen as likely blockbusters, Mr. Majors also explored more complex roles. Critics praised his nuanced portrayal in Magazine Dreams of an awkward character who is driven by a thirst for fame and plagued by self doubt and rage. Um, so the critics saw this movie, but how come we can't see it? Come on, like if the movie's already done, just release it, make the money. Like nobody really cares. Like why do these studios cancel these actors' roles for doing bad things in their personal lives? Nobody cares. Everybody knows they're flawed. Everybody knows Robert Downey Jr. was a cokehead, crackhead. We still give him roles. This man's been Iron Man, and this man snorted up the whole Mount Everest. Are we really gonna live a criminal conviction? In my opinion, unless we're talking about children, right? Unless you're like a sex offender and you want to be an elementary school teacher, no, no, nigga. But you should be able to, work somewhere else or do something else. Going to continue here. Uh, there was also a volatile side to Mr. Majors himself, according to some people who knew him before he joined the Marvel Universe. On the set of the HBO series Lovecraft Country, he was said to have had confrontations with female coworkers that led them to complain to the network, the Times found in interviews with his former colleagues. A few weeks after the verdict in the assault trial, Mr. Majors appeared on ABC's Good Morning America, where he said he had been absolutely shocked by the jury's decision and continued to dispute Mr. Jabari's account. Last month, Mr. Jabari sued Mr. Majors in federal district court in Manhattan, accusing him of battery, infliction of emotional distress, and defamation. Her complaint said that he had engaged in a pattern of pervasive domestic abuse in London, New York, and Los Angeles, and had on one occasion banged her head against a marble floor, tried to strangle her, and threatened to kill her. Ms. Chowdhury did not respond to a request on Friday for comment on that lawsuit. Just after it was filed, she said that Mr. Majors was preparing a countersuit. It's crazy how this girl is going after him, man. They say hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. No, not hell hath no furry. Hell hath no fury. I don't think there are furries in hell. I don't think there are sexual deviants to that extent. But yeah, it's crazy. This girl is like really going after Jonathan Majors. Not only did she get the conviction, she's trying to get some money out of him too. She is really going after him. And I think this is a lesson for all men out there. Really truly be careful on who you decide to lay with, procreate with, sleep with, marry, uh, date, whatever. There's dangers in everything, right? And for women it's dangerous too, because you can literally date a man who can take your life. But for men as well, like we work so hard for the things that we earn. Jonathan Majors did not get anything easy. As a black man in America becoming a top selling actor, it's not an easy feat at all. So this man, really paved the way for himself and for his family to have generational wealth. And now it seems like this one girl is going to take it away over pettiness, over jealousy because he was texting another girl. Is it really that serious? You went out dancing after he abused you. I'm not trying to excuse domestic violence or abuse, because I would not want any of this to happen to my daughter or my sister or my mother or anything like that. But yet and still, why such vindictiveness? Why? But yeah, continuing here. So Mr. Majors left the courthouse after the sentencing on Monday, accompanied by his lawyers, walked past a group of reporters without saying anything, and got into a black van with tinted windows. Just before it pulled away, he leaned out of a window and shook hands with the court officer. And that is the end of the article here. So, yeah, Jonathan Majors is a lesson for a lot of men out there. Be careful on who you lay with. Don't run from white women. If anything, put your chest out and just take it like a man. Put your hands up. Don't put your hands on the bride, but don't be running because that's a criminal offense. In New York, if you run from a white woman as a black man, that's 52 weeks of domestic violence probation. We've set a precedent now. Alvin Bragg is trying to prosecute Trump, which we salute. We applaud him for that, but Alvin Bragg, you slipped up doing this to Jonathan Majors because this is not right. This is not right. What happened here? Anyway, I'm gonna jump into the comments here. Blue Lion said, "How do you respond to people that just use IQ statistics to justify their racism?" That's a very good question, and I was literally about to cut off the live stream, but I'll jump into that. Um, I'm going to try to tie this to the Jonathan Majors situation. But IQ in and of itself is a false parameter to measure intelligence. Nobody takes the IQ test seriously. They're basically the same as doing a zodiac test. An IQ test is something that was created by Europeans to justify European racism. That was used. It's no different than phrenology, and phrenology is the measure of skulls and that sort of stuff. If IQ tests were actually predictive of people's intelligence, then why aren't they used to make people enter into universities? Why aren't they used by governments to check and see who they want immigrating into their countries or not? IQ tests are no different than palm readings. There is no such thing as an IQ test that is actually indicative of measuring a person's intelligence. This is an early 20th century invention to just try to manipulate people into thinking that Europeans are smarter. Because let's think about this: Europeans created a test to then say that Europeans are smarter. Oh, and look at this. Oh, the Africans are the dumbest. Oh, the Asians are the dumbest. Oh, the people from Latin America or Central America, they're the dumbest. Oh, and that just so happens to correspond with our colonial expeditions on these people, right? We're going to terrorize these people and say that their civilizations are nothing, and yet and still they also qualify for this test. Let's think about this. I want anybody to think of this. If IQ tests are valid and they are created by white folks, how about this? Black people and other groups of people should create an IQ test and then test other groups against them. And let's see how the results are. And I'm pretty sure if we did that, if there was a black IQ test or an Asian IQ test or any other group of people's IQ test, other groups of people would fail them because intelligence is a lot of it is based on your society, the culture that you're brought up in, and that sort of stuff. I hope I answered your question, Blue Lion. That's my opinion about IQ. I don't take IQ seriously. Anybody who uses IQ to justify racism, first and foremost, is wrong because there is no justification for racism. Even if somebody was less intelligent, even if we could quantify intelligence, does that justify you hating that person? Does that justify you excusing the deaths of those people? Does that justify dehumanizing those people? No. No, I know for a fact the people who are anti-black racists who jump into my comment section and call me all sorts of N words and all sorts of derogatory things about me. I know that they are stupider than me. I literally know that they are pretty much mentally retarded. But I don't hate those people, and I would never justify uh, anything bad happening to those people. But yet and still, those same folks would justify some bad things happening to me because I have lower IQ, according to them. Right. So that's my opinion about that. Thank you, Blue Lion, for that question. Hope y'all enjoyed this live stream right here. This is going to be short. I'm going to jump back to some other things I'm working on right now. But y'all stay tuned for more content on my channel. My name is Simon Hill, and peace.